All right, guys. So I've got Daniela on the channel, and it's great to have another crypto guest on board. I've done many of these interviews now, and one thing I like doing is I like sharing education, knowledge, learning from other people as well. It's not just about myself, it's about the audience, it's about the community. And we're going to talk about NFTs, GameFi, the metaverse. It's going to be very, very short and sweet. So hopefully for my audience that are, you know, sort of like coming onto this topic and they want to come on board, we're just going to just share some, opinions, some education and some knowledge. So it'll be very easy for you guys to also understand what NFTs are, what GameFi is, what Metaverse is, because out there is quite a cloudy, noisy society when it comes to cryptocurrencies, and people still don't understand it. So we're just trying to shed a light here so that you guys can just take this back and sort of learn from it. So it's not financial advice, you know the drill. It's just purely an educational video interview. I just try to share education and knowledge and just try and be as authentic as possible in this space. So take it as that. Daniela, thanks for having you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me to these topics.
Great. So, Daniela, tell me a little bit about yourself and just like a quick, short, sweet introduction, and then we'll go into the questions.
Sure. So I'm Daniela Merlano. I live in London. I'm from Colombia, and I've been around the Web3 space for about 3 months now, I say.
Right.
My previous experience has been building culture in startups and HR. And those skills have been translating around community management and growth pretty much, because I'd say it's about the sense of belonging, and community in the Web3 space is pretty much one of the most inspiring whys of Web3 growth as well. So yeah, that's what I'm up to at the moment.
So you're really into this area, you're really interested, and sharing your knowledge is going to be great. So tell me first, is what got you interested in NFTs, this whole metaverse space, and then we'll go into the questions. Yeah.
Great. So at first, it's because back in 2020, I got into learning a bit more out of the mindset of Ethereum. So I'm non-finance, non-techie profile, and definitely not an artist, but I felt connected with the ideas that Vitalik Buterin, which is one of the founders of Ethereum, was expressing around a more fair world, putting the technology from blockchain to create more trustworthy and worldwide transactions and information management pretty much. So I really like that idea, because I come from an emerging economy country. So we do like that could be hope for us to live more fully independent from where we are physically being born. So that got me into that. And here in London, there's a lot of information and exposure around blockchain itself. And there's where I got into understanding a little bit other uses of blockchain as NFTs. And going into there, well, one thing leads to another. So you get to learn a bit of DAOs, a bit of Metaverse, a bit of other use cases of this technology to be placed at.
Okay.
And especially Metaverse makes me feel interested in, because I think it's a beautiful use case for learning and for education that could be used massively in a very bright way to relearning and to remote teams and for children education and many other topics that I feel could be placed there.
Awesome. So, let's talk about this a little bit. So what is the metaverse to you? What is NFTs? How can you explain to my audience, this whole metaverse, NFTs, GameFi space in a simple nutshell?
Okay. So I have not been very involved with gaming itself. But what I understand is it pretty much started there in means of the technology used for better resolutions in gaming that are now being placed in other types of virtual grounds, where you can interact in many different ways in real time. And you can generate transactions and have experiences in real time that are powered up, but not just with VR. So I believe that a very nice way, and the way I explained it to my mom, which she knows nothing about blockchain pretty much, is that it's a farther on virtual ground where you could place many experiences, and it's pretty much a 3.0 of how we
transitioning
explore
from
social interactions. So that's why Web3 it's kind of compared with social media, and when like Facebook etc. started, and that's why there's this like thing with Meta, because it is about social interactions in a virtual space.
I get it.
Yeah. So it's, for me, the metaverse, and I'm not an expert, the metaverse could be like nicely explained like that. And when it comes to NFTs are information placed with a visual deliverable, which means we place the information in the blockchain that is not referenced necessarily about crypto or like crypto money, to be sure that what you're getting, it's unique and it's yours, and it's transparent when you own it or earn it. And I say with a visual deliverable because you get PFPs, which are like the pictures that people see and use in their profiles. And there are many other types of deliverables. And there is where the graphic designers and the artists themselves place the how visually placing that you own this or a part of this. Hope I made some sense there.
I think it's kind of like interesting because it's, the way I see it, it's like a transition from Web 2.0, which is a standard information page, social page. There's no reality in the stories, and you're basically transitioning from one society to another society, and that society is going to be the virtual world, right? Now, that's also to do with, it's going to be huge because you're moving from non-tokenization models to tokenization models. And when you tokenize something, like you say, you tokenize a virtual asset, or you can tokenize a art piece, or you can tokenize real estate. You're basically now moving from something that was non-monetized to now monetized society. And the way I see that transition, where the central parties reap the benefits, is now the retail users that will reap the benefits, and they will own some of that virtual assets, which will be tokenized in the metaverse or in play to earn or NFTs. So assets will belong to the users. It won't belong to the central party. And I think we're only just touching the surface on this whole subject. Are you with me?
I'm with you. Having like double clicks on your words, like understanding a little bit more on how I understand it. So I feel all of that is pretty much monetized too in real life. And you could buy digital assets in means of without crypto. I think part of the difference and the added value here, it's that it is decentralized. So more than the act of monetizing is the act of being able to acquire in a more secure and fair way, independent from where you come from. Which means, for example, for me here in Colombia, or for whomever in London, whatever we buy with like 1 ETH is 1 ETH for us all, if I'm making sense. And I think that's highly important. And also the cost of transactions, because as it is decentralized, it gives us the chance to really protect the value of how much creators are getting from them, and how much they deserve for that, and how much we are also saving on those transactions, because independent from our countries, we don't have a like a middleman player that is taking a piece of it just because of generating the transaction accessibility. So that's one of the things. And the other thing I'm thinking is that more than the act of monetization,
Right.
I'd say the act of belonging, which means that is pretty much the beauty of community and DAOs, because what we want to transcend this for, more than like get rich fast and tokenize everything, pretty much is like, what am I supporting and what am I receiving utility wise for placing part of my money in those tokens that are funding those projects, that are making that those projects can be real and can be sustainable. So I think that is like in my vision or in my understanding, I think that's what
Right.
brings more value on placing mindfully the use of tokenizing things, because like everything still has a price. Like I think that's not that's a use, but the vision is for it to be more fair, more inclusive, more diverse, and that we protect more the value, and that we have a better say or vote or choose what are we supporting on.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
that's why the token means kind of something like, there's, for example, there are tokens for women-led DAOs, that the token is just for them to, like, yes, it brings value to you, because if the DAO goes well, your token will be more valuable in the fiat
Well,
currency,
yeah.
but is more for actually you thinking of like, okay, I'm supporting them with this much, and that makes me a part of it. That makes me a little bit owner of it, if I'm making sense.
Yeah, I think, we're still in the early phases of
Yeah.
this whole concept. So I think we still need to do a bit of learning. But I like the fact the way we're starting to now move from this Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, and giving users more, I would say more power and clarity in how they're going to use this space. So my next question is what do you think of NFTs? Can you tell us a little bit, what is an NFT? Some people still don't know what it is. The community are still trying to catch up with all these new buzzwords and changes in crypto. How would you explain an NFT's use case?
Um, in my vision, NFTs are, as I was saying before, is a use case of blockchain technology placing information in that blockchain that protects ownership,
Right.
and that ownership gives benefits. So what I think is, first, it was used just by ownership of a digital piece of something that could be more or less valuable depending on market. But right now, and the beauty of it, what I see is that the ones thinking long term in this game are using NFTs as literally, like, I would say, utilities. Like, they want their community to have added value because they're supporting that project or the artist itself. So I think there's like two worlds: the world of the artists, which means music, physical artists or digital artists, that they want to protect their utilities of their art that they're selling. And there is where the NFTs collectors could be like real life art collectors. Like, I like this piece of art, I'll just buy it. But the difference is, because there's no middleman, the artist actually gets as much as they deserve
Yeah.
from first and secondary market, which is more fair. And that's the why of blockchain, to bring
Make it more
technology for
fair.
a more fair world. The second one of it is where projects are started to think more long-term thinking. So the NFTs become pretty much a path of being part of that project and funding a bit of that project, but because the project is offering value, um, which means value is whatever the project wants to do with the
Right.
community itself, like the why of the project. So there are projects that bring value because they have discounts on perks, or they bring value because they are educating that people somehow in a better way, or they bring value because you can meet up in real life in different spots because you own the NFT, like a membership club. So just giving out some examples on what value could mean, but it's pretty much what the project really wants to do. So there are NFTs projects that are like fundraising for sustainable and like social causes, and that's the value for the NFT holder. Yes, it can always move with the market in means of its value, but it becomes to be less about how much my NFT is worth, and more what I'm doing with that community and that project, if I'm making sense.
Yeah.
And there is where you are now finding online courses with NFTs, you're now finding events tickets with NFTs. And all of that is just saying this piece of information is yours, but mostly it's giving you access to something else greater and hopefully healthy
So it's
and
just
mindful.
cool. So it's just digitizing something,
Access.
giving access to people. So okay, my next question is, what's the potential now for Web3? We're moving from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. I don't know if we're there yet, but like we're trying to work our way around this. What do you see Web 3, and how can you explain Web 3.0 to my users and to my audience?
I think
Sorry, to my audience, not my users.
I think that's a tricky question. It means it's so early, Web3 as a concept, that is not clear on the roadmap itself, like the
True.
exact path of it. And also, as I'm not an expert in the field, I might be missing a lot of dots and things happening out there for this. What I believe is that, and what I've believed is that the community I've found in Web3 is community that are merging blockchain technology to do DAOs, which are decentralized organizations, to do NFTs projects for funding or for artists or for whatever use case they find, who are wanting to build virtual interactions in the metaverse.
Right. Gamifying gameplay as well, I would imagine, is
Those are ones of the interactions, or education in the metaverse, or team
yeah.
building, or health and mental health events as well, interactions in the metaverse. Like,
Okay.
so what I feel is, because it merges all of this other ways of relating to each other in different spaces in a decentralized way, and giving us a little bit more power and decision over our fundings.
Mhm.
I believe it's an opening door of a big amount of people that could keep growing in relearning how to use that technology to place voice on relating better to each other in real life. And what I see there is that I one of the things I do is that I'm a positive psychologist, and that's a science on how to flourish with based on scientifically basis, on like research, and that's since 2002, sorry. So coming back to what I'm saying is that I've found that talking about this in Web3 has been very well received, because the ones that are thinking long term here, and the ones that are valuing the why blockchain arrived to create a more inclusive fair world, they are placing that into action with technology opportunities for different causes, and causes are hopefully mindfully placed to have good effects in real life.
Right. Yeah.
So
Does it have a
merging all of
utility?
that,
Does it have a utility right now? I would argue probably not. Um, we're not at that stage where there are people adopting Web 3.0 strategies such as NFTs. This is starting to, come on board. But in terms of worldwide adoption, I don't think we're there yet.
no, I think we're not there yet, mostly because I would give a little bit more time for building not over crypto hype, but over technology adoption, which is different. So people are not rushing into it because they want to get rich and, sorry for the words, but like screwing it up in the way. So it's safer also because I would dream of this technology to be safer for like psychologically basis for adolescents, for children, for trolls and like cyberbullying and harassment before more mass adoption is placed. So yes, we're not there yet, but it's moving, and it's moving very fast. And the big brands are jumping in also in a fast-paced way. Like Wimbledon was next week, and Wimbledon had a metaverse experience.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so because those things are happening, that would mean
Moving fast,
it
you're
will
saying.
become, yeah,
It's-
and it will become
right.
mainstream. So the more mainstream it becomes, the better, yes, but hopefully it will become mainstream when we have placed the education for
True first.
a healthy use. So we don't do the same mistakes like Web 2.0, where social media pushed us through it, and we did not know how to relate to each other nicely and healthy in that stage, and many bad things have happened. Other very good ones, yes, but I feel that because it's early enough, hopefully we, like the technology builders and the project founders, would embrace this time to build
Right.
safely and aware before bringing the whole huge mass adoption. Um,
Right. Okay, I
and
get it.
yes, there are Web3 projects that have utilities nowadays. Um, I can't tell
Same.
numbers at the moment, but definitely there's fundraising going on. There's people full-time living from this, which means there are
Yeah, there
successful
is.
projects out
Yeah.
there moving money.
And the rate of the crazy thing about NFTs and crypto is it's moving very fast. The process of digitization, it's moving very fast and moving quite more faster than the internet. Would you would you say that's the case in that some sense?
I'm not sure if more fast than the internet, but I think definitely faster in means of
Well, the
blockchain
information
history
age.
itself. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
we like internet moved fast everything. Social media moved even faster information.
That's what I
But it
mean.
was
Yeah.
still placed in countries. Like it's still, I would still receive more information around Colombia anyways if I'm there. But blockchain has been here from around 2008, but the growth of adoption of blockchain in the past 2 years has been faster than what happened between Bitcoin and Ethereum, because I think it's been educated more in that more people can create with blockchain and can do their own tryouts with the technology, and merging that with like digital design and virtual reality technologies, I think
Right.
it's
Okay.
becoming easier to try to
It's,
use it.
yeah. It's quite
So
positive
yeah,
then. It's quite positive where it's heading to, I would say.
it is. I think it's very positive, and I think it will become mainstream. Like as this became mainstream, as we learned all how to use Zoom or Google Meets to actually have a conversation, or to train our teams, remote teams
Right.
in any corporation, that will
Yeah.
happen.
Anywhere around the world. Yeah.
It's what I believe. As I say, it's very recent. I think
Interesting.
it doesn't have more than 2-3 years around. Um,
Mm.
and it's still like, as a Latin American, it's still, I receive a lot like the, hey, there's not many Latin Americans out there doing this. And I've just been here 3 months, and still people reach out thinking that that's a lot of time because of
Right.
how young it is.
Right.
So the point I'm making here is that it's too young, and the hope I want to give out there and the message I want to give out there is that because it's moving and it's moving fast, but it's still young, we're in a beautiful place of doing it nicely, and that the snowball growing from this education
Mm.
wise can be placed mindfully and beautifully for all to relate to each other nicely in real life, if
Okay.
we protect that with virtuality.
All right. So I won't hold you any longer. It's great to hear your thoughts about this space and just bring some clarity, you know, to the audience of what, you know, what these buzzwords mean, the metaverse, the NFT space, and so forth. So it was a great, short, sharp interview. I really just want to do these short, sharp interviews because we can go on and on and on, but we won't get any clarification, you see. And I think that's one thing about crypto is that we tend to go on and on and on, but there's no clarity, and we need clarity. So just one final takeaway, where do you see crypto heading to in the next few years? Are you, you know, there's regulation, talks of regulation activity, which I think is quite positive in the next sort of few years. Where do you see it going, Daniela?
Yeah. So once again, this comes from words out of a newbie, non-financial, non-techie
No
person.
financial advice, yeah.
I might be wrong, but what I feel is the more we start talking and using crypto as what it meant to be in the first place, which was fair, fast transactions to generate and be able to move economically wherever we want in a more fair way, the stronger it will become, not in means of how much a Bitcoin is worth, but in means of how many people can actually use it to do good, to participate in stuff, to work from wherever they want for whomever they want, and receive what they really are worth for that work. For example, to sell there's this beautiful, like there's projects helping agriculture with blockchain. So
For charitable
the people
basis, yeah, for charity, for educational purposes. It's not just the money making scheme, it's more what can this utility use, you know?
So it's about, so crypto is not just Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's also stable coins, for example. And stable coins helps a lot the use of blockchain, dialing down the risk of the hype. And that's what blockchain comes from. So I believe that I love investments and stuff, even if I don't understand them very much. I understand the importance of them. But for me, the most important thing is that it's used for good for the most. And that means to understand that it's not about the hype, it's about the use of technology to create fairer and faster transactions. And that's something that the world needs to reduce inequality. So crypto understood in that way more than just the coins that the people hype. Invest in. I think it's very useful in the long term, and that's also why I feel it has had this adoption so far, even though it's very risky at the moment. But they'll dial down, and as much as countries start to support it, it will be more protected. More people would be working in making the technology safer, in reducing fear, so people get more curious to actually learn. So
that's it. All right, thanks. So Danielle, thanks for your time, and it was great to share these insights. I hope you learned something from my audience, and you know, we tried to make these interviews as realistic as possible, so there's no hype or fluff. It's just purely an educational video interview, not financial advice, just teaching you guys these buzzwords and learning all about it. So I've done many of these, and it's great to get another crypto person on board to tell us all about it. So thanks, Danielle.
Thank you so much. It's okay, thank you so much. And just a disclaimer, sorry if I said something with not much sense out there. I'm still new at this, and
we're still learning, aren't we? We're all learning.
We're still learning, yeah. Like, feel free to reach out to me, tell me like, hey, this is more this way or that way, so I learn on the way as well.
All right, cool. All right, guys, thanks very much, and I hope you enjoyed the interview. Bye-bye.